Reinhold Niebuhr, one of the most influential theologians and public intellectuals of the 20th century, remains a critical figure for understanding the tension between idealism and realism. His work, often categorized under the umbrella of Christian realism, provides profound insights into human nature, the dynamics of power, and the struggle for justice. Yet, Niebuhr's philosophy carries a somber tone, reflecting his deep awareness of human limitations, the persistence of evil, and the tragic dimensions of history. These dark lessons are not cynical but rather pragmatic, urging us to navigate life with humility, wisdom, and a tempered sense of hope. This exploration dives deep into Niebuhr's philosophy, unpacking its darker undertones and the lessons it offers for individuals, societies, and global relations. The flawed nature of humanity. Central to Niebuhr's philosophy is the recognition of human fallibility. Unlike Enlightenment thinkers who believed in the perfectibility of humanity, Niebuhr asserted that human nature is fundamentally flawed. This flaw, rooted in what Christian theology calls original sin, manifests as pride, selfishness, and an insatiable desire for power and control. Even our noblest aspirations, Niebuhr argued, are often tainted by self-interest. The tension between freedom and sin. Niebuhr's understanding of human nature is deeply paradoxical. On one hand, humans are creatures of immense potential, capable of reason, creativity, and moral discernment. On the other hand, this very freedom and capacity make us prone to hubris. The more we achieve, the more we are tempted to place ourselves at the center of the universe, forgetting our dependence on God and the interconnectedness of life. This paradox creates a constant tension within humanity. Our ability to think and create gives rise to the illusion that we can transcend our limitations, but this same illusion blinds us to the realities of our weaknesses. Niebuhr's insights remind us that the greatest human achievements often come at a moral cost, as pride and ambition can lead to exploitation and harm. Lesson: embrace humility. Recognizing our limitations does not mean abandoning ambition but rather tempering it with self-awareness and a commitment to ethical responsibility. Human creativity and its risks. Niebuhr also acknowledged the remarkable potential of human creativity but warned of its dual-edged nature. While creativity drives progress, it also enables humans to rationalize destructive behaviors. From technological advancements used for warfare to ideologies that justify oppression, creativity without moral grounding can exacerbate human flaws. Lesson: balance creativity with ethical vigilance. Innovation should always be guided by principles that prioritize the well-being of humanity and the planet. The corrupting influence of power. Niebuhr's analysis of power is one of his most enduring contributions. He observed that power, whether wielded by individuals, groups, or nations, is inherently corrupting. Even those who seek power with noble intentions are often seduced by its allure, leading to exploitation, domination, and injustice. Moral blindness in collective power. Niebuhr was particularly critical of collective entities like nations, corporations, and institutions. He argued that groups often act more selfishly and aggressively than individuals. This phenomenon occurs because collective entities magnify human flaws, allowing people to justify actions that they would otherwise consider immoral. For example, a nation's desire to protect its interests can lead to imperialism or oppression, all under the guise of promoting security or freedom. This moral blindness extends to individuals within these entities. People within powerful organizations or governments often lose sight of their personal ethics, excusing harmful actions as necessary for the greater good. This creates a cycle of justification and complicity, where wrongdoing becomes normalized. Lesson: vigilance is necessary to prevent power from becoming an end in itself. Ethical leadership and accountability structures are crucial for ensuring that power serves justice rather than undermines it. Recognizing the moral dangers of power helps us to create safeguards against its misuse. The role of accountability. Niebuhr emphasized the importance of accountability in mitigating the corrupting influence of power. Institutions must be designed with checks and balances to prevent the concentration of unchecked authority. Transparency and public oversight are essential for maintaining ethical governance. Lesson: build systems that hold power to account. Power without oversight inevitably leads to abuse and injustice. Evil as a persistent force. Niebuhr's realism is grounded in the acknowledgement of evil as a persistent and pervasive force in human history. He rejected the utopian idea that evil could be eradicated through education, technological progress, or social reform. Instead, he saw evil as an ever-present reality that must be resisted but never fully conquered. The tragic dimension of life. Niebuhr's view of evil is intertwined with his understanding of tragedy. He believed that human history is marked by a constant struggle between good and evil, where even the most well-intentioned actions can lead to unintended consequences. This tragic sensibility does not lead to despair but rather to a sober realism that accepts the limitations of human effort. Tragedy, for Niebuhr, is not simply a matter of bad luck or unforeseen outcomes. It is a fundamental aspect of existence, rooted in the complexity of human motives and the unpredictable nature of life. Attempts to create a perfect world often backfire, as they ignore the deep-seated flaws in human nature and society. This understanding encourages a balanced approach to reform and progress. Lesson: resisting evil requires courage, persistence, and humility. Success should be measured not by the eradication of evil but by the effort to mitigate its impact and promote justice. Accepting the persistence of evil allows us to approach life with resilience and a focus on incremental improvement. Evil and systems of oppression. Niebuhr also explored how systemic evil perpetuates injustice. From institutional racism to economic exploitation, evil often manifests through structures that seem impersonal yet have profound impacts on human lives. These systems require collective action and moral courage to dismantle. Lesson: address systemic evil with collective action. Recognize that combating injustice often requires working against entrenched systems rather than isolated individuals. The necessity of compromise. Niebuhr's philosophy emphasizes the importance of compromise in the pursuit of justice. Unlike idealists who strive for purity in their moral and political endeavors, Niebuhr recognized that justice often requires navigating ethical ambiguities and making difficult trade-offs. Justice in a broken world. For Niebuhr, justice is not a static ideal but a dynamic process that involves balancing competing interests and values. This process is inherently messy and imperfect, but it is also necessary for addressing the complexities of human society. Niebuhr cautioned against the dangers of moral absolutism. Those who refuse to compromise in pursuit of their ideals risk alienating potential allies and exacerbating conflicts. By contrast, those who embrace compromise can build coalitions and achieve practical progress, even if the results fall short of perfection. Lesson: strive for justice with a pragmatic mindset. Understand that compromise is not a betrayal of principles but a recognition of reality. True progress requires working within the constraints of an imperfect world, seeking solutions that are both ethical and feasible. Examples of effective compromise. Historical and contemporary examples abound where compromise has led to meaningful progress. From civil rights legislation to international peace treaties, the willingness to negotiate has often paved the way for lasting change. Lesson: learn from history. Study successful compromises to understand how to navigate ethical complexities in the pursuit of justice. The illusion of innocence. One of Niebuhr's most piercing critiques is directed at the illusion of innocence. He argued that individuals and nations often see themselves as morally superior, ignoring their own complicity in injustice. This self-righteousness blinds them to the ways in which their actions perpetuate suffering and inequality. The irony of self-righteousness. Niebuhr's critique of innocence is particularly relevant in the context of international relations. He observed that nations often justify their actions by appealing to moral ideals, even as they pursue self-interested agendas. For example, a country may claim to promote democracy abroad while supporting authoritarian regimes that serve its economic interests. This hypocrisy undermines credibility and fosters resentment. On an individual level, the illusion of innocence manifests as a reluctance to acknowledge personal flaws or biases. This self-deception prevents genuine self-reflection and growth, perpetuating cycles of harm and denial. Lesson: genuine moral growth requires self-reflection and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about our own behavior and motives. Recognizing our complicity in systemic problems is the first step toward meaningful change. Self-deception in modern times. In contemporary society, the illusion of innocence is often amplified by social media and polarized narratives. People tend to surround themselves with echo chambers that reinforce their biases, further entrenching self-righteous attitudes. Lesson: break free from echo chambers. Seek diverse perspectives and challenge your assumptions to foster genuine understanding and empathy. History as tragedy. Niebuhr's view of history is deeply tragic. He saw the human story as a series of struggles and conflicts where progress is achieved at great cost and often accompanied by new forms of injustice. This tragic understanding of history challenges the optimistic belief in inevitable progress. Hope amid tragedy. Despite his tragic view of history, Niebuhr was not a pessimist. He believed that hope is essential for human flourishing, but it must be grounded in reality rather than illusion. Hope, for Niebuhr, is not the expectation of utopia but the resilience to continue striving for justice in the face of setbacks. Niebuhr's concept of hope is deeply tied to his faith. He saw divine grace as a source of strength and renewal, enabling humans to persevere despite their limitations. This theological perspective provides a foundation for hope that is both realistic and enduring. Lesson: cultivate a realistic hope that acknowledges life's tragedies while remaining committed to the pursuit of meaning and justice. Hope is not the denial of suffering but the courage to confront it and work toward a better future. Learning from historical failures. History offers countless examples of both triumphs and failures. Niebuhr's perspective encourages us to study these lessons not to dwell on past mistakes but to draw wisdom and resilience for future endeavors. Lesson: let history inform your actions. Recognize the patterns of human behavior and use them to guide ethical decision-making in the present. The relevance of Niebuhr's philosophy today. Niebuhr's dark lessons are remarkably relevant in today's world, marked by political polarization, global inequality, and existential challenges like climate change. His insights offer a framework for navigating these complexities with moral clarity and pragmatic wisdom. 1. Politics and power. In an era of increasing authoritarianism and populism, Niebuhr's warnings about the corrupting influence of power and the dangers of self-righteousness are more pertinent than ever. His emphasis on ethical leadership and accountability provides valuable guidance for addressing these challenges. 2. Social justice. Niebuhr's understanding of justice as a dynamic and imperfect process resonates with contemporary movements for social and racial equality. His critique of innocence challenges activists to remain self-critical and open to dialogue. 3. Global relations. In a world of interdependence and geopolitical conflict, Niebuhr's insights into the complexities of collective power and the persistence of evil offer a sobering perspective on international relations. His call for humility and compromise is essential for building sustainable peace. Conclusion: embracing the dark lessons. Reinhold Niebuhr's philosophy is not for the faint of heart. It demands a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature, power, and history. Yet, in embracing these dark lessons, we find a path toward greater wisdom, resilience, and moral clarity. Niebuhr's insights challenge us to live with humility, courage, and a tempered hope, recognizing that while we cannot achieve perfection, we can strive to make the world a more just and compassionate place. In a world rife with complexity and contradiction, Niebuhr's thought remains a vital resource for navigating the challenges of our time. His dark realism, far from being a source of despair, offers a profound and enduring call to moral responsibility and ethical action.